One of the biggest elements of Doctor Who, all the way back from the very start, has been the monsters, particularly the Daleks. Appearing in the second ever story, the brainchild of writer Terry Nation, designed by Raymond Cusack, instantly captured the imaginations of children across the country, leading them to appear in 7 stories as the main antagonists in 6 years, not to mention 2 movies starring Peter Cushing. This was the height of Dalek mania, and due to these creations, it turned Doctor Who, the show itself, into an overnight success. With Nation trying to make a success of the Daleks in America, they took a 5-year break from Who. When they returned to open the 1972 season, the show had completely changed. Looking back now at just over 50 years since the Daleks came back to Who, now in colour, it begs the question, did the Daleks work in Doctor Who after the 1960s? Hence, I'm writing notes for this video. We're first going to recap when I think the Daleks were at their best. This is during the late Hartnell and Troughton era. I'm talking about Mission to the Unknown to Evil of the Daleks. The Daleks have become cemented into the show. This can be seen by the perfect ring modulation from the Daleks' excellent performance by David Graham and Peter Hawkins, with Roy Skelton debuting in Evil of the Daleks. The way they were written, particularly in stories such as Power and Evil of the Daleks by David Whittaker, showed the Daleks at their most cunning and dangerous, something I don't think that was replicated until their return in 2005. Jumping ahead 5 years, Barry Letts and Terrance Dicks had made Doctor Who a success for the second time with a complete rebrand. Jon Pertwee's 3rd season would bring back the Daleks in Day of the Daleks. Personally, despite liking aspects of this story, it always feels a little flat when it comes to the Daleks themselves. I'm not 100% sure what the reason behind this is. I think it's a possible combination of Nation not having anything new to add to the Daleks, or stories for that matter, as well as the show itself moving away from the 60s sci-fi into a new format which started in 1970. I do prefer the Daleks' appearance in the following 2 stories, Planet and Death to the Daleks, but then again, I don't think they're properly realised again until Genesis of the Daleks, and that's mainly due to coming into second to Davros. The role in this story is to be the backdrop to introduce this new adversary for the Doctor. The Daleks and their reputation had become a staple of the show at this point, so having them be created and moving around in the background of the story until being released to inflict their terror in the final act, perfect. By the time the Daleks appeared again in Destiny of the Daleks, all elements of the original Doctor Who had disappeared, making the Daleks and even Davros feel very out of place in the Graham Williams and Douglas Adams era. I've already spoken in detail about Destiny, so I'm gonna move on. Eric Saward would write the next 2 Dalek stories, Resurrection and Revelation of the Daleks. Due to Saward's style of writing, the character of Davros would be developed further, played by, to me, the definitive Davros, Terry Malloy. These stories would take a much darker tone, both with a lot of on-screen deaths, and be very character-driven by the supporting casts. Although this is a plus in some aspects, the Daleks are the worst to suffer. When comparing Saward's scripts to David Whittaker's scripts from 20 years previously, the Daleks feel like a shadow of their former selves, and without stories featuring the Daleks as the main adversaries, reminding audiences of their full potential at the time, the Daleks fall into the trap of just being Davros' unthinking henchmen. A completely different approach was taken by Ben Aranovich in Remembrance of the Daleks. A massive action-packed Dalek Civil War set piece bringing the Daleks once again to the forefront of the story, with Davros only appearing near the end. Although not quite redeemed yet, Remembrance is a great step in the right direction in making the Daleks a defining monster worthy of their title as the Doctor Who monster. Of course, we'd see the Daleks in all their glory in the show's revival in Dalek by Rob Shearman and Bad Wolf Parting of the Ways by Russell T Davies. Despite what I've said, all of these Dalek stories have their merits. I'd be interested to know your thoughts of this subject. If you agree or disagree with what I've said, leave a thought in the comments below. And if you've made it this far into the video, thanks for listening.